Hello and welcome back to the Crypto Market Watch. Today we're gonna watch what Bitcoin has done, and also we're gonna dive into Ethereum a bit. But let's start with Bitcoin. So first of all, what are we eyeballing for Bitcoin right now? Well, not that much has changed, except for that Bitcoin has gone down over the last few days a bit. This was expected, or at least we said we don't know exactly from this point whether we're going up or we're going down. However, two important levels which we need to take into account is the 20-day moving average and the old all-time high. If we break above the old all-time high, that probably means we're going a lot higher. And if we break below the 20-week or the 20-day moving average, we're probably going down more. So what is the case right now? We saw that we dipped below the 20-day moving average for a bit. However, that's not the most important part, since we have already done this before here and here. We should close below the 20-day moving average before we get the confirmation that we are going down more. So where are we going to if we actually do close below the 20-day moving average? Most likely we will come close to the 20-week moving average, which at this point is at 18.2k, and it will go up over the next weeks, of course, since we'll have weekly closes and we take the average over all the last 20 weeks. So even though we went down now, it will replace one of the candles down here. So the moving average will go up. And if we drop down in the next couple of weeks, if we say 2 or 3 weeks, then it will probably be somewhere between 20k and 24k. If it takes a bit longer, like 1 or 2 months, it will probably be somewhere in this range. So these are the two buying zones you should take into account if we do break below this 20-day moving average right here. So what about the other coins, right? Since we have talked about Bitcoin, this is of course pretty interesting. What about the other coins like Ethereum? Well, the first rule always is if Bitcoin goes down or goes up by a lot, which would be the case if we do close below this 20-day moving average, then altcoins will go down compared to Bitcoin. So what is good for altcoins is if Bitcoin stays in this range for a bit longer. So let's first see how much longer we think Bitcoin will stay in this range. So let's remove this. And for this, of course, we can draw some lines. And what we see, some kind of triangle is forming here, where we have this, and we have this. And of course, these lines can be redrawn at all times, so I don't really like the triangles too much, but it does give us some sense of what the current price action is doing. And this is even more obvious on the 4-hour. I even drew it a bit sloppy on the 4-hour, but this would indicate that we can have a bounce on the 20-day moving average today. The 20-day moving average will move up a bit, of course, and we will have something like this for the next week. And then at the end of next week, Bitcoin will be decisive, whether it will be bullish and it will go up further, or we will actually break down the 20-day moving average and we all get our cheap Bitcoin where we're secretly wishing for. So what happens in this case in between? Well, if Bitcoin stays between this range, it's normally good for altcoins, and this is already something we have seen since the last week. We have been within this range. It has cooled down a bit compared to the exponential growth that we had right here. And if we go to Ethereum BTC and remove my ugly drawings right here, we can see that also on the daily, when Bitcoin was consolidating, we were almost at the bottom here, and then we had a huge spike up because Bitcoin cooled down a bit. And in general, the trend was up. So if over the next week Bitcoin remains calm, then that will probably mean the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio will continue going up further and Ethereum will rise in comparison to BTC. So if you then go to the Ethereum chart, That could probably mean that we do break the Ethereum's old all-time or yearly high that we had here, and that we could get to a new all-time high for Ethereum. And this is on Binance. On Binance, the all-time high is $1,500. I think on some other exchanges it's a bit lower or higher depending on the exchange. However, it seems like Ethereum is following also a kind of a consolidation pattern on the USD chart. However, if the Ethereum BTC goes up by a lot, and maybe a next target would be around the previous high, which is here, we would see a price increase of another 17% compared to BTC. And if we say BTC remains stable and we add on another 17% to our current price, we would be at 1100, 1200-ish, depending on the Bitcoin price, of course. So there's not yet an all-time high. However, this is just a resistance point, and if it's long enough that Bitcoin remains calm, Ethereum can get to new all-time highs before Bitcoin actually breaks down or up. So the last thing I want to talk about is in general the cycle of Ethereum and how it compares to the cycle of Bitcoin. And for that we need to go to a somewhat longer time frame. So let's go to EtherUSD and go to the weekly, zoom out a bit and see what has happened from the previous bull market into the bear market and where we are now compared to, let me get here, BTC USD. Remove my drawings, also go to the weekly and compare it to what we see here from the previous bull cycle into what we have right now. So what we see here, Ethereum has made a stop. It had its initial push down, went up a bit, went into the bear market to the all-time lows of $77. Congrats to everyone who bought back then. We had our initial push up, a bit of a lag, and then we went exponential, but not yet breaking our all-time high point. Now let's go to BTC. We had our initial push down, went a bit up, we went into our all-time lows, we went up a bit, we had our Corona crash, we went exponential up until our all-time high. We held for a few weeks, and then we pushed up even more. So what it looks like, if we look at the charts, is that they're pretty similar, and that Ethereum is actually one cycle behind BTC. What I mean by that is that we can expect something similar, and maybe it takes a bit longer, but we can expect something similar for Ethereum to happen as Bitcoin has just done in not too long term. Maybe it's after the Bitcoin full correction when this will happen, but in the not too far future, I expect that we can see a similar move on Ethereum as we have seen on Bitcoin. And knowing Ethereum, it can even push higher than this 120%. It might even be 150%. And this might seem like a crazy target, like $3,700 for Ethereum, crazy. It's like 3x it is right now. But recall Bitcoin at this price, below its all-time high, right here, people were saying the same. If you would say back here in November that Bitcoin would hit 40K by the end or the beginning of 2021, people would call you crazy. We have just passed 10K, it's 15K, it would be 2.5x. You're crazy. However, if you look at the charts, you really look at them, it's definitely possible, which makes Ethereum in theory a better investment. However, it's always more risky since the market cap of Ethereum is way lower than the market cap of Bitcoin. So, depending on the size of your portfolio, choose your coins wisely. If you have a rather large portfolio or it's really something you are not willing to lose, I would always advise don't put anything in it that you really need. Only the money that you want to risk, only put that in. However, if you have a small portfolio, which you're willing to risk, Ethereum is a better buy than Bitcoin. It's always a bit more risky. However, if you have a small portfolio, that wouldn't be that much of a problem. If you have a really big portfolio, I would say diversify. Put a small chunk into Ethereum because this move is still possible, and a larger chunk in Bitcoin when it goes down, as we discussed. And in that way, you can balance it out. Um, what I'm talking about right here, of course, is the long term. What do we expect on the short term? On the short term, we can expect something similar to Bitcoin. If it breaks down, then Ethereum can also go down to the 20-week moving average, which would be at that time between 600 and 750 or so. And that would be a cheap Ethereum, and I think that would be a buying opportunity of a lifetime. We will probably never see those levels again. So if that happens, be happy, buy in a lot, and let it ride maybe to these highs, and then we don't go 3x, then we go 6x, and that would be amazing. All right, that was the market watch for today. It was a bit sloppy with my drawings, however, I think I got the message across. If you want to ask me anything about these charts or anything else, drop a comment below. Please smash the like button if you liked it. You can press the subscribe and the notification bell if you want to see more. Further, I have a Bybit link in the description where if you're into trading, you can sign up there. It's beneficial for both you and me, where we get a bit of money. I think for me it's 10 euros. For you it's almost a 600 euro bonus if you trade on Bybit. Really check them out, it's a great site. And with that I want to end off this video. Thank you for watching.